Well, you know, what many people don't know is Buckventures back in the day when we started Buckventures in 2003, we were in Missouri a lot, North Missouri a lot. So a few years ago, we got a phone call from a girl named Grace and just said, hey, we love your show. She had actually won a bow from us and said her grandpa had some land up there in North Missouri. And so anyway, we kind of took them up on it, went up there and met with them, Jimmy and her, and just hit it off. Just great people, and really goes to what we talk about, right? We love to hunt and we all that, but man, when you can meet great people along the way in different states, wherever that might be, this is that story. We go up there and we set foot on their land, and it's like the best ground you can have. I mean, it's North Missouri, and not just a little bit of ground, a couple thousand acres that we were getting to hunt. And let me tell you something, Cole and I, we were pumped up, we were excited. We started hanging stands immediately. The idea is to go hang a morning set first, so we got that out of the way. And then if we got to go in and hang and hunt, we'll do that. So let's go figure it out. So the idea was we were just coming in, bow in hand, hunting the rut, and we were just hanging and hunting. Whatever it took's what we were gonna do, and it was fun. We didn't know nothing. We didn't know any big deer that were there. We didn't know the caliber of deer. I mean, we figured, but we didn't know. So hunting that way, as many of you probably know, is a fun type deal. It's, you know, I love getting all the homework I can, but this was fun. We didn't know what was gonna walk in front of us. And Cole and I, every day, we were just excited to get in that stand.
Well, it is November 7th. It's actually one of my favorite days in the woods. A lot of big deer have been killed on November 7th over the years, so we are in we're probably about 25 foot up this morning, right here by this big pond, letting our wind blow back across the pond. Got a big standing boot plot up here, bedding back this way. Travel corridor right here to our left. If deer are moving around, I think we'll see a pretty good buck this morning. If we do get one in here, it should be some good footage, but just looking for a good solid deer here in North Missouri. I'm fixing to grunt and hit the horns together and see what happens. So.
You know, I set out to decoy in the dark that morning. We crawled up this stand. It felt really good, had a perfect wind. And the first morning here, it's on. We had rattled, and all of a sudden we look over our right shoulder, and here comes a brute coming right to the decoy.
Buck right here.
This deer is big enough. He is definitely big enough to shoot. I just had a hard time with his age. I thought he might be 3. Knew it could be a mistake. Over a decoy, great footage, first morning on a place we'd never hunted, but nevertheless, we let this deer go.
All right, guys, we're finishing up here at 10:30 on our first morning in Missouri, and we had a really good morning. We had a buck right here come right to the decoy, probably a 3-year-old, going to be a stud, a 6x6, but I just couldn't find myself to shoot him. It would have been killer. He was a great buck. Come right to that decoy, Dave Smith decoy. So they're covering ground, but we probably need to get back in the stand as quick as possible, even though it's warm. Sometimes these bucks just, you know how they do, they just show up, so we'll see.
You know, I know Cole and I both were wondering about the decision even that morning, but we were excited. We were gonna go forward, and that's the way it started. Hopefully, it would just build off of that, and we would get something a little older and maybe have a chance of getting air in something.
It's hot right now. We're just hoping for deer traveling. We're in a good spot. We shall see. I'm gonna get to glass and see if we can spot something. Then we'll do some calling too. He's walking. That's a shooter. Let's shoot him. See him right here. He's right here in the corn. He's got to be real still. So need a stand down there. We need a stand right there on the edge. We didn't see any giants, but we did see a pretty good buck, probably a 145 class 8-point. Tall sucker, heavy. I would shoot him definitely. So I'm thinking about going ahead and hanging a stand. And tonight, we'll probably move down there. We just saw where there's so many deer. So I think I'm gonna hang a stand down there, and we might be able to slip into it tomorrow evening. So we just got a few days, so it's you gotta watch your energy where you're putting it. I'll go hang this, and I'll be able to sleep tonight, I bet. So we're gonna do that right now.
It's cold front. It dropped about 20-some degrees. 22, 23 degrees, and that's always a good sign. Well, one thing in Missouri that I had planned is I wanted to use the decoy as much as I can. I love this Dave Smith decoy. It is unbelievable. It looks so real, and that's what we're doing. We're just putting this decoy out, and let me tell you, we were having some encounters. Well, you know, we had slipped in. We had watched from the road quite a bit on this one farm they called the 400, and soybeans. And there was a set of trees up on the top. It's going to kind of be weird how do we go into it. It's going to be a long, long walk. We went in and hung a set, sweated, and got it in and knew that it was going to be an observation stand for us. And we'd done seen a good buck there from the road. You know, the first time we got into it, we're sitting there, and sure enough, look up and we see this same big buck we saw from the road, and he comes right into this group of trees right there on the soybeans. And he's a big shooter, no doubt, a big mature buck. And he'd kind of flipped my lid. I wanted to get an arrow in this buck. I was going to do whatever it took to get him shot. Well, as Cole and I sat in that stand that morning, he went into this group of trees, and we'd kind of watched him, and we knew that he was in there bedded. You know, and we had a pretty good wind that morning, right in our face, pretty brisk. And there was actually a big brush pile right on the end of it that was blocking. And so we thought, you know what, let's just go for broke here. Let's get out of this stand, let's stock up in there, and let's see if we can just sneak up on this buck. This is what you live for in the rut.
Yeah, he's got to be within 80, 90 yards right here. But it's going to be tough unless he stands up. We almost need to kind of get hid, and then he might stand up here a little bit, and we can kind of locate him. Because there's a ditch right there. There's a good chance he's laying right up there. That's about where he came in. But literally, he could be laying right here.
Well, sure enough, we take our time. I knew this deer wasn't going anywhere, and Cole and I are just being patient. This goes into, you know, minutes to 30 minutes to an hour to an hour and a half. We're not sure how long a time we got in there, but we're just being patient, and we're just going through this. And anytime we know that we're going to see this deer, and sure enough, it's almost like it works in their favor every time. It's like when I got just a little bit impatient, I look up and I see this big sucker. He's laying down, and when I see him, his eyes see me, and the jig is up. And I mean, just that heart pounding throb right there. He jumps up, you know, you're trying to draw, and he gets away.
We got 25 yards from him. Gosh darn it. That's fun though. Man, it's a pretty good little deal. I mean, if we just knew where he was at, we just didn't. Well, I guess that's that. Fun stuff though.
Well, you know, and another encounter we had, man, we just kept having great encounters. We actually went in, and they had an old blind set up, and we got in it, and we were sitting on some soybeans again, and sure enough, another big deer comes out. Just a cool deer, kind of a weird deer, and we got to film him. Knew I wasn't going to get a shot at him that night, but man, we were now in the chips. We had so many areas where there were big shooters. This North Missouri trip was turning out fun. You know, I couldn't thank Jimmy and Grace enough. The hospitality with them, the friendship, that was what it was all about. And then the icing on the cake was all these big bucks that we were seeing. And we were just going to keep going. Hopefully one of these big suckers is going to make a mistake. In my head, I cannot. If I don't play the wind.
I try to.
I understand that. That's just,
Yeah, and you know, you got two guys. It's just way.
all this. I don't see how you kill a deer with two guys on
Their
camera.
nose,
Yeah.
it gives you away.
Yeah. Well, one of the last days, we're coming down the wire. We got stands hung everywhere. We're whipped. We're tired. We're putting in hours. And it's a 40-mile-an-hour wind, and you know, when you're in North Missouri and Iowa, a lot of times you're not going to have much luck with those winds. But we were going to slip in this ditch, and we were going to walk this ditch all the way down to the edge of this timber, right where a lot of them bucks were coming out in that soybeans. And we're just going down through there, and as this big wind's coming, I look up as I come over a crevice, and sure enough, there's a big shooter. A big 8-point, you know, he's probably in the 130s, but I will shoot this deer all day long, definitely a mature buck. And so I immediately hit my knees and tell Cole that I'm gonna try to get a shot at this deer. you know, Cole sets up his cameras there as I'm getting ready, and you know, I'm reaching up trying to see how far he is and this and that, and anyway, we have to sit there and wait it out. You know, I'm trying to let him get broadside, and I think it's like 44 yards, and sure enough, boy, he turns and gives me a shot. I come up, get settled in on him, feel good, let her release.
Got him.
And nothing, right under this deer. Now here's the deal, the whole kicker, I couldn't believe I missed him, but I ducked right back down. This deer had not a clue what had happened, not a clue. So I get down, get another air, you know, get up and see how far he is, and again, same deal. I come up, settle in on him, and miss him low again.
Probably 49 there. Well, you look at it. Yeah, that's fun though. We're right here, almost to her stand. Run into a shooter, 4-year-old 8-point. Gosh, it's turning. 2 shots. I'm sure I missed him both times right underneath him.
I could not believe it. Skimmed the hair on him, and this deer runs off. And you know, it's just the way it goes. It's, you know, I actually felt really good how I held. I think what happened is I just not put the right pin on him, you know, my single pin, whatever it was. I missed the deer, my fault. But what a time in North Missouri, and I cannot wait to get back up there. It whipped me, but we had met great friends. We fellowshiped together. We got friends for life. We have some of the best North Missouri ground that we can hunt, and it's for free. It's because somebody just felt like they wanted to put some interest in us, and I'm thankful for that. Jimmy, Grace, thank you from the bottom of our heart. I can never thank you enough for, again, letting us hunt your ground, but just the friendship that we've developed now. I thank you so much. And we look forward to coming to North Missouri and fellowshipping with you guys for many years to come. Well, hey guys, Jeff Danker here, and welcome to this week's Walk by Faith. Turn to 1 Corinthians 13:4 today. Love is patient, love is kind, and is not jealous. Love does not brag and is not arrogant, does not act unbecomingly. It does not seek its own, it's not provoked, does not take into account a wrong suffered. Man, if we look at 1 Corinthians 13, the whole chapter, it's all about love. And talking about even if we were to die for Christ and we did it without love, it wouldn't be worth anything. And you know, that's a hard deal. We're in a world where it is hard to love, and the only way that we can do it is if we're following Christ, that Christ lives inside of us, and we're becoming sanctified more and more each day through His Word. And man, if we could just do that as Christians, I believe Christ, or I know Christ could change so much through us. And anyway, I encourage you to look at 1 Corinthians 13 on love and sacrificing ourselves as Christ did for us. Guys, I'm Jeff Danker, and remember, as we always say, shoot by sight and walk by faith.